another Keto 101 with Yogi. Today we're going to talk about supplements. Supplements can be very confusing on the diet. They could also be very expensive. And when I refer to diet, I refer to a natural thing a human being or animal eats, not a fad thing that is a temporary thing to lose weight. So I'm talking about like a dietary habitual dietary pattern that an animal eats. So just to clarify, because I had a question about that. So we're going to talk about supplements today. Supplements can be a very dicey, controversial thing amongst many people in the nutritional dietary sphere. One, they're very expensive. Two, there's a lot of junk out on the market. And three, there's questionable data suggesting whether or not you actually need them. So, if you're going to take a supplement on a ketogenic lifestyle or whatever lifestyle that you are choosing to have, you really want to be aware of some things before you select that supplement. One is that it is a quality supplement. Unfortunately, a lot of supplement markets use a lot of filler in their supplements, and actually what they put on the label may not actually be what's in the capsule. To get around, it's not very well regulated by the FDA, and to get around the regulations, they basically put on their label proprietary blend, which means it may or may not be in there, but it's okay, it's our blend, this is what we do. Which, when they put that on the label, they don't have to tell you everything that's in that supplement. So they could be using wheat fillers or other bulking agents that can actually have negative health effects and negate the benefits of what you would receive by the supplements. Because of mixing processes, they may not be as concentrated as they say they are, or they may be more concentrated because they mix up a giant vat, and sometimes in some of the practices it doesn't really mix together well. So when they encapsulate or press it into a pill form, the concentration may be more bulking agent than supplement. Sometimes it'll be more supplement than bulking agent if it's not properly mixed. And I worked for a supplement company, and one of the things the supplement companies have done in the past is they've run powder along the belts to go into supplements and not clean the belts before they ran a different powder through, and that powder picked up other things. Much like drugs, sometimes supplements can have counteracting properties or may not mix well with one another, and sometimes people can be sensitive to other supplements, nutritional things that may cause bad reactions in them, and they might get trace amounts in those things. So it's really important that you vet the supplements that you want to take. Going through supplement companies that have gone through and paid the money to go through third-party inspector programs are your better bets. Some of my favorite supplements are metagenics. They are very pricey, but they are very potent. Everything that they say is in there is in there. And they have extremely tight practices on the manufacturing of their supplements. They are third-party inspected, and their potency level is very high. They're considered a nutraceutical, which is a pharmaceutical grade supplement. Another one that I like very well because of what they do, the purity standards, is Biotics. Biotics is another one that they're third-party inspected. The companies have got together, and not only do they look at their potency level, but they also look at the bioavailability of their products. And one of my favorite vitamin D supplements is actually a fat soluble. It has D and K2 from Biotics, and it's in It's D3K2 Forte, I think is what it's called. And it's actually emulsified in coconut oil so that it's more bioavailable when you take it, so you actually get more out of the supplement. Certain vitamins are fat soluble. In order to absorb them and properly use them in the body, you have to have a source of fat with them. So Biotics took care of that. There are other companies as well. On it, Ali Miller RD has a good line of supplements that is inspected. Some are more expensive than others, so you have to work in your budget. That's the other thing that I'm going to get to. The only way that any dietary lifestyle is sustainable in the long run is, well, not the only way, but one of the main ways it's sustainable is if it's affordable. If you're buying a bunch of supplements you can't afford and you get to the point where you're like, oh man, I'm spending all this money, I can't afford it, and then you stop, I've seen people that because they can't take their supplements or they can't do this, they give up on everything. You have to make sure that whatever you do on the diet is sustainable, and that includes supplements that you can afford them. So if you can't afford to get the fancy supplements, then look for that nutrition through your food instead of the supplements. And a lot of times you can get the same or even sometimes better nutrition through the food that you eat rather than going through a processed supplement. Now, that being said, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of my top supplements that I take on a ketogenic diet and why. So my number one supplement that I take that most regularly is collagen. And the reason why I take that is I played sports for a long time. I'm getting older. My joints are, sometimes very tender. And collagen is much like giving oil to the Tin Man. There are other benefits to collagen as well, including gut health, helping to heal the lining inside the stomach. If you have the leaky gut, it's great for your hair, your nails, its skin. It does a lot of things inside your body. So collagen is a good one. I also like gelatin, which is actually, collagen is derived from gelatin. It's when you have gelatin, you have the complete package of collagen and protein, and gelatin protein is a complete package. So I like gelatin as well. You get a lot of benefits from that. But if I can't get the powder, then I can make bone broth and receive that. So my other top supplement is vitamin D, D3. And actually, I'm gonna have to combo on these two. It's D3 and K2. The reason why I like those is because when I was driving, I couldn't get out in the sun a lot. I drove at night, so I couldn't get that exposure to vitamin D from the sun. Most food sources only give you a small amount. Your best source is actually from the sun. And most of us are very deficient in vitamin D3. Vitamin D3, though, also works in concert to vitamin K2. According to a lot of the research that's coming up, these two are synergistic vitamins. And what the D does is, like, for example, D does over 500, it affects over 500 different processes in the body. So there's a lot it does. But one of the things that people want D for is bone health. Well, in order to absorb calcium, you need vitamin D3. And it'll help absorb the calcium into your body. But vitamin K2 tells the calcium where to go. So vitamin K2 helps the calcium go to the bones rather than soft tissue. One of the things that you have to be careful about is soft tissue calcification, which is can come as a form of blockage in arteries and blood vessels. And vitamin K2 can help stop that. And they work together in a lot of different ways in the body. D3 is actually more like a master hormone. It is responsible for thyroid function, testosterone function. It is responsible for epinephrine response. It helps the liver, it all kinds of things. So D is a massively important vitamin. If you can't always get out in the sun to get your D3, then you might need to supplement. If you have some issues absorbing, which this can happen, some people, because they have internal damage of the way their systems work, even when they're out in the sun, they may not absorb the right amount of D3. The other reason you may not absorb the right amount of D3 for your sun exposure is darker skin. The darker your skin is, the more resistant you are to the sun's rays. It takes longer for you to absorb the D3 from the sun's ray, or to produce the D3 from absorbing the sun's rays. So vitamin D3 and K2 are combo. That would be my second top mostly taken supplement on keto. And my other supplement that I like to take, and this is strictly for men's health, so it's going to be 3 abbreviated, is Tribulus. Getting older now, and as men get older, we sometimes need help in the testosterone department, producing testosterone, so we want to eat foods that will help us keep our testosterone high in order to preserve lean muscle mass, proper sexual function, things like that. So one of my favorite supplements is Tribulus, because it is so helpful in that department. It's also helpful for prostate health, and it is very hard to get the natural form of Tribulus in the US, so the easiest way to do is to get from a supplement. Now there's other things you can eat to gain effects to help you with your testosterone production, and that is things like red meat, oysters, clams, a lot of very fatty omega-3 rich seafoods that are rich in DHA and EPA, I can't even say that right now, so I'll put that on the show notes. But these things are going to help. There's a whole list of things that can help with testosterone, and you really want to include those if you're, especially if you're a man, you want to include those. But even women, sometimes, if you're trying to gain leaner muscle mass, women and men both produce testosterone and estrogen. If those levels are not in the correct balance in the body, if you have too high estrogen, even for a woman, it can cause high fat gain. If you have too high testosterone for women, it can cause hair growth over there. So they have to be in the right balance. So you have to be careful with it. Another thing that can help you with testosterone is body weight resistance exercises or resistance training. Especially working the legs, the larger muscle groups, the more muscle you put on, the more it's going to help you stimulate testosterone. So those are my top 3 supplements that I like to take on the ketogenic diet. Again, these things can be very pricey, so sometimes I don't take them all the way, but when I am going for supplements, that's what I'm going. That is not including electrolytes, which I already covered. Electrolytes are probably my most common supplement, but I already covered that on another video, so you can check that out. We'll link that into the show notes. And the different electrolytes help with different things, but since I already covered that, we'll conclude that on another one. All right, everybody, have a great day.